She was abandoned, innocent and alone. 10 years later, he returns blind, and I must choose. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sky was a deep shade of gray, shadows creeping in, as if the world sensed the impending doom. I stood there, heart racing, knees trembling, staring at the empty street where he used to run to me with wild laughter. I could almost hear echoes of his boyish giggle, now swallowed by an eerie silence. It had been a decade since I'd seen him. The boy with the bright brown eyes, who promised to protect me forever. But promises are fragile things, aren't they? I remember the day they took him, tearing him away from me. The fist of fate clenched tight around my heart, squeezing until I couldn't breathe. I was left abandoned, innocent and alone, surrounded by waves of confusion. Mom and Dad tried their best. They sat me down, hands trembling, faces pale. They explained in hushed tones. The accident, they called it. A tragic twist, a sudden flash of chaos. I was only a child then, unable to grasp that he was gone. We waited, hoping for a miracle, but long nights faded into even longer days. Hope turned to ashes. I often imagined him, somewhere, somehow. Did he remember me? Would he recognize me if we ever crossed paths again? The thought made my chest ache, and I longed for just a glimpse of his smile. Now, 10 years later, whispers filled the air. Whispers about a boy who had returned, but he wasn't the same. He was blind. The very thought sent shivers down my spine. Blind? What had happened to him? Why had he come back now? My heart pounded erratically as curiosity wrestled with fear. I rushed to the cafe, the one we used to visit on rainy Sundays. His name hung in the air like a ghost, and every heartbeat felt like a countdown. The bell above the door chimed, cutting through the deafening silence. I scanned the room, holding my breath. There he sat, alone in a dim corner, his face turned slightly away. The familiar curly hair was matted, but it was unmistakably him. My chest tightened. I could hardly take a step forward. Would he remember me? Would he recoil, or would he embrace me as he once had? The idea of being met with confusion or worse, indifference, knotted my stomach into a tight ball. As I approached, I caught a glimpse of those once bright eyes, now glassy and vacant. My heart shattered into a million pieces. I swallowed hard, tears pooling in my eyes. Liam? The name slipped from my lips, trembling and fragile. Silence fell. His head tilted slightly, as if straining to catch my voice. Who's there? The uncertainty quaked in his words, and a lump formed in my throat. I was inches from him, but felt a chasm of distance. Would I reveal my identity? Would it bring him joy or more pain? My heart ached with the heaviness of a choice I never wanted to make. And then, just as I opened my mouth to answer, the door burst open, echoing like an ominous warning. A figure appeared, a dark silhouette against the light, and I felt the world shatter again, the sound like thunder in my bones. Who was this? What new twist awaited us? The atmosphere buzzed with tension, anticipation thick as fog. Do you want to leave with me? The figure called, and dread washed over me like a cold wave. My heart raced. I was caught between the past and an uncertain future, and I had no idea what to do. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. My heart thudded in my chest, primal instinct propelling me to move closer to Liam, even as fear tightened its grip around my throat. The figure at the door was familiar, yet foreign, someone who had lingered in the edges of my memory, uninvited but unmistakable. Simon, I whispered under my breath. The name reverberated, a ghost from my past, a thread that was meant to weave through my present. He had been my brother's best friend, a confidant, and protector. The very last person I had expected to see in this moment. The connection was electric, igniting something deep within me, a longing for understanding, for answers. "I need you to come with me," Simon insisted again, his voice low but urgent. Now that my focus flickered back to Liam, the warmth of our shared history tattered and frayed at the edges. I could feel the heaviness of our unspoken bond pulling at my heart, igniting a desperate urge to reach out, to bridge the gap that 10 years had created. But Simon's presence darkened the room, a looming storm threatening to break and spill chaos into this fragile moment. "Liam," I took a step forward, daring to meet the blank stare of his unseeing eyes. "It's me, it's who do you know?" Simon's interruption shattered the softness of the moment. "You don't know him. You don't want to be involved with him, believe me, what do you mean?" The words came out sharper than I intended, the protective instinct for Liam flaring up, threatening to overshadow the remnants of my childhood fears brought forth by Simon's arrival. "He's my best friend. He deserves to know I'm here, and he deserves to move on," Simon shot back, a tension radiating between us like a taut wire just waiting to snap. "You don't understand the situation." "Not like I do that I don't care," I insisted, feeling the warmth of resolve build within me. "You don't get to decide what he deserves or what I deserve. Do you even know why he's back?" Simon's voice was a near growl, pushing against the tenderness of the moment. I could sense the weight of those words hang in the air, thick with subtext, urging me to tread carefully. "Or what happened to him?" Liam's expression remained limited, a hint of curiosity flickering through. "Who are you?" he asked, unsure but unyielding, a spark buried beneath layers of confusion. His statement reframed my perspective, the absolute vulnerability in his voice struck me, unraveling layers of my own facade. "That I am here for you," I said softly, feeling time stretch, as he sought to bridge communication. The instinct to comfort him was overpowering, as if I could wrap our past in warmth and sunshine. Simon snorted derisively, and I could hear the disdain bleeding through his words. "This is not a fairy tale, Alex. His world isn't the same. He can't see, he was broken, then let me help him." My plea hung in the air, desperate to pierce through Simon's walls, the fight inside me growing, as I turned back to Liam, who was listening intently, the silence between us brimming with unspoken words. "Liam, I need you to know that you're not alone in this. You can tell me what you need." "Alone," Liam muttered, dissonance coloring his tone. "That's what I've felt for so long." Just then, the cafe door swung open again, ringing with a sense of foreboding. A woman stepped in, her face hidden beneath a dark hood. The atmosphere shifted dramatically as she paused, scanning the room with a piercing urgency that left the air crackling. Simon's expression grew alarmed, the lines of tension deepening around his mouth. "Time's running out," she shouted, her voice thick with urgency. "We need to leave, all of us. Now." My heart raced, confusion spilling over as I turned back to Liam, seeking reassurance in those once bright, familiar eyes. Instead, I was met with uncertainty, the newly drawn map of his world hinting at underlying fears. The truth weighed heavy in the air. There was more at stake than I understood, shadows lurking in corners yet to be uncovered. Simon's hand clutched my arm tightly. The stakes were rising, and I stood on the precipice of a choice that would ripple through our intertwined lives. "Come with me, Alex," Simon urged, his grip firm, but doubt echoed around us, refusing to fade. "We can't afford to get tangled in this." But I felt a flicker of hope igniting deep inside, a primal connection to the boy who had once promised to keep me safe. From beneath the layers of chaos, sadness, and longing, I could see the fragile sliver of possibility emerge. And yet, as the woman's voice echoed with insistence, I was left with a decision that felt insurmountable. A choice between the known and the unknown, pain and redemption, light and shadows, and with that, everything within me trembled, knowing that the next moment would dictate the course of our lives forever. As the urgency in the woman's voice rattled through the cafe, I found myself torn between two realities. The flickering fluorescent lights overhead cast a drab glow over everything, mirroring the confusion swirling in my chest. The tightness of Simon's grip on my arm, the fleeting vulnerability in Liam's demeanor, and the stranger's anxious presence all collided in a dizzying amalgamation of uncertainty. Who are you? I directed at the woman, demanding clarity as she stepped closer, her fierce gaze locking onto mine. In her eyes, I saw a tempest of weariness mixed with determination, which pulled at my heart. There was something familiar about her, a whisper of recognition just out of reach, but I couldn't place it that I am someone who knows what's at stake, she replied, her voice softer now but still urgent. The forces that have already claimed Liam won't allow you to just step back into his life. What forces? What do you mean? My voice was trembling now, betraying the storm brewing within me. Liam's confusion mirrored my own, even as the instinct to protect him surged forward. You need to trust me, the woman implored, her eyes flaring with intensity. They've been searching for you. They can't know you're here. Not now, not like this. Liam's fingers brushed against my hand, seeking an anchor in the chaos. That small gesture sent electric warmth coursing through me, and I turned my focus back to him, seeing the vulnerability behind his guarded expression. Liam, please. I need to know what's going on. For both of us. Yes, you need to leave, Simon interrupted, his voice laced with urgency as he tugged at my arm once more. Alex, it's the only way to keep you safe, but the knot in my stomach tightened as I grappled with the weight of his words. Safe from what? The question hit the air like glass shattering. Deep down, I felt that there was something larger at play, something I could only grasp at the edges. I can't just run away. Not from him. From me. Liam interrupted, the pain in his voice striking into my heart like an arrow. You don't even know me anymore, Alex. I'm not the same person you once knew, but you're still you, I countered, feeling my own helplessness crawl through me. What happened? Please tell me. The woman turned toward him, her expression softening just enough to reveal a flicker of empathy. It's not worth the risk, Liam. The world you once knew is gone, replaced by shadows and lies. If they find you again, she broke off, shaking her head, the fear that danced in her eyes accentuating the weight of her words that I felt a shudder ripple through the air, the tension mingled with unspoken fears echoing around us. Every word was a chain, binding me to an unseen reality that threatened to drown me in its depths. Why did you come back, Simon? I shot back, the question bursting forth with the heavy exuberance of years. What is your part in all of this? His jaw tightened, an unspoken grief flickering in his expression. To protect you both, he said finally. But you have to understand that I'm not here to offer comfort. I'm here for your safety. Everything about this situation is dangerous, then let me choose my own danger, Simon. The exertion of my voice surged like a wildfire, anger and pain coursing through me. Turning to Liam, I took a breath, the silence stretching infinitely like a tether reaching across chasms. You deserve to know the truth that I don't know if I want the truth, Liam whispered, the quietness of his fear encapsulating the room. His brow furrowed as if the weight of his past had begun to resurface, and I could see something hidden in his sightless eyes, a longing not only for clarity but for connection, a tether to what once existed. As I opened my mouth to reply, a sudden gust of wind swept through the cafe, sending a chill cascading down my spine. The woman stiffened, her hands clenched into fists. It's too late, she murmured, a dark shift burrowing across her features. We're not safe here anymore. In that moment, the door burst open again, this time with startling force, and a group of figures clad in dark clothing flooded in, their faces obscured by shadows. My heart plummeted as one stepped forward, a familiar profile with a disconcerting smile that sent ripples of dread spiraling through my veins. Did you think you could just run away? The newcomer sneered, gaze drifting over Simon, and then landing on Liam and me like a predator sizing up its prey. You've opened the door to your past, and it's about to come crashing in, Simon cursed under his breath, shoving me behind him, but I could see the panic flicker across his eyes. And in that moment, with the shadows spilling forth from every corner, it dawned on me that the path I had chosen, the unresolved bond between Liam and me, might lead us into an abyss from which we might not return. The world slipped away as I gripped Liam's hand tightly, surrendering to that fleeting sense of hope, even as despair rushed in like a relentless tide. Uncertainty clung to my heart as the dark figures advanced, sealing our choices, and leaving us suspended on the edge of the unknown. The tension in the cafe felt as thick as smoke, a haunting blend of fear and desperation swirling in the air around us. I could scarcely breathe, my heart racing with the understanding that our lives had altered irrevocably in a matter of moments. Liam's hand in mine felt like the last thread tethering me to sanity, a fragile connection in an unraveling world. The taunting voice of the newcomer echoed in my ears, reverberating like a funeral dirge. Your past has returned to claim you. I could see the corner of Simon's mouth twitching, a shadow of anger dancing in his eyes. An instinct surged, an urge to flee and take Liam with me, to shield him from the encroaching darkness threatening to swallow us whole. But there was no escape, doors slammed shut behind us, cutting off any frivolous notion of flight. Tell me what I need to know. I shouted, searching for the woman's steady gaze through the chaos. She had stepped slightly aside, giving us a moment of clarity within the overwhelming dread. You don't understand the depths of this darkness, she responded, her voice barely a whisper, laden with urgency. They've already taken one part of you, Liam. They won't hesitate to take more. Liam's hand shook in mine, and I could sense the walls closing in on him, suffocating him in memories he wished to forget. Alex, he breathed, casting a sidelong glance at me. We can't let this happen. I won't let them take you, too. As much as I wanted to comfort him, to bind our wounds together, I knew fleeing now wouldn't offer us the safety we desperately craved. The figures in the doorway advanced, their eyes gleaming with a predatory hunger. Keep your distance. Simon growled, placing his body between us and the newcomers. You'll get nothing from them. We will protect what's ours. The leader smirked, the amusement on his face igniting a spark of fury inside me. How noble. But you don't even know what you're standing against. The moment you brought Alex back into this world, you drew a line in the sand. Everything slowed as dread pooled in the pit of my stomach. What do you mean by that? I asked, desperation creeping into my voice. You have no power over us, but even as I spoke, I felt the weight of their collective gazes, studs filled with intent. Every shadow pressing in reminded me of the secrets that lingered in the corners of my memories, long-forgotten whispers rising to the surface. Liam squeezed my hand tighter, his confidence wavering. There's something I haven't told you, he said, his voice breaking like fragile glass. They're not just searching for me. They're after you, too. It was never just my past, it was ours. What? What do you mean? My heart stopped, and the world narrowed to just the two of us, standing on a precipice of revelation. But before he could respond, a younger figure from the group stepped forward, eyes alight with mischief. What if I told you, Alex, that your innocence didn't protect you? You've been a pawn in a game far larger than you can conceive. Distance can't safeguard you from our reach. Fury burned in my chest as the truth hung between us, an unspoken weight threatening to crush me. You stay away from him. I shouted, my voice a fragile yet defiant war cry. I won't let you tear us apart again. Whatever holds you together, it doesn't matter. We've made our choice, but the moment my words escaped, a chill swept through the cafe, like the shadow of an unseen hand pressing down. Beyond the strangers, another figure emerged from the darkness, one that sent a fresh wave of dread crashing through me. Trailing close behind was a person I never expected to see again. The last time I had laid eyes on them was a lifetime ago, when hope still flickered in my heart like a hesitant flame. Alex, they called softly, their voice dripping with an intoxicating familiarity as they stepped into the light. My breath hitched as recognition slammed into me, and the world tilted on its axis, leaving me breathless. What are you doing here? I managed to stammer, a blend of confusion and longing welled in me like an impending storm. Because your past isn't done with you yet, they said with a melancholic smile, as if the weight of their own secrets hung heavy around their neck. And neither is the truth about who you are meant to be. A shudder ran through me, colliding with the claustrophobic sensations surrounding us. The air grew thick, emotions colliding as I searched for solace amid chaos. The cafe grew colder, as if the walls themselves recognized the significance of what had just transpired. Before I could grasp the implications of their words, the dark figures moved closer, their intentions simmering just beneath the surface. Everything I thought I knew began to crumble around me, sending a tidal wave of uncertainty crashing down without mercy, and in that moment, the threads of every decision hung suspended in the balance, ready to unravel my world and expose us to the darkness lurking just outside the light. As shattered pieces of my past intertwined with our present, I could only hold on to Liam's hand, clutching desperately as the abyss threatened to swallow us whole. The cafe felt like a battleground, an arena where past and present collided with reckless abandon. My heart thundered against my ribcage, each beat a painful reminder of how unprepared I was for the revelations unfolding before me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The familiar face, one that haunted my dreams and fueled my nightmares, stood there like an apparition from a forgotten chapter, whispering secrets I both craved and feared. "Alex," they murmured again, their voice an inkling of warmth in the frigid air, yet laced with an uncertainty that echoed my own. I fought to summon the words, but the churning tumult of emotions rendered me mute. The cacophony around us faded into a surreal silence, and my entire being was anchored to that one person, Jasper, my childhood friend, the boy who once filled my world with laughter and light. Jasper, I breathed, the name unspooling like a fragile thread. The years melted away in an instant, his familiar eyes, once filled with hope, now bore the weight of heartbreak. "Why are you here?" "I'm here for you, Alex." "I never wanted to leave," he said, stepping closer, his eyes flitting to the group surrounding us. The tension sharpened, a cut waiting to sever everything between us, and something inside me twisted. How could he stand here, under the scrutiny of those sinister gazes, claiming he was here for me? The leader of the other group smirked, clearly amused by the scene unfolding. "Sentimental reunions won't save you, Alex. We can resurrect memories more powerful than you can imagine. All it takes is a single whisper." Liam shifted beside me, his protective stance cutting through the fog rolling in. "You're lying. If you have something, just say it. But you can't keep manipulating us." His voice was steady, but I could feel the tremors of anxiety coursing through him. "Oh, but we're not just manipulating you, dear Liam," the leader taunted, stepping forward with a predatory grace. "We're laying bare the walls that have shielded you from the truth. The moment Alex stepped back into your life, the past rose from its grave. You two are tangled together in ways you haven't begun to fathom." My heart sank, the gravity of his words pulling me into a dark void. "What are you saying?" I whispered, desperation consuming my voice. "We're not caught up in any game." The newcomer, Jasper, took another step forward, the courage wavering in his eyes. "Alex, listen. I didn't come back by choice. I was pulled into something I can't describe. They wanted me to stay silent. But two couldn't." His voice faltered, and my memories flickered like images in a broken mirror, each moment tainted with longing and loss. I and the gathering shadows, Simon's jaw clenched, snapping me back into the chaos enveloping us. "We're stronger when we stand together," he said, his stance a gust of wind defying the inevitable storm. "We can't give in." Not now, but I felt fractured, trapped in the void between loyalty to Liam and the deep-rooted connection I shared with Jasper. The darkness loomed, whispering promises of safety in exchange for truth. My heart screamed for clarity while my mind grappled with the echoes of past betrayals. Torn in two, I gazed from one boy to the other, love and history intertwined, every decision laced with unbearable weight. Another figure approached, a woman from the opposing group with eyes like shards of ice. "Every choice you make will have consequences, Alex," she intoned softly, her voice unexpectedly gentle. "The world you knew was never innocent, it merely wrapped itself in shadows, waiting for your return." I shook my head, the metaphorical chains tightening, dragging me deeper into despair. But as I searched for resolve, a small flicker of warmth ignited within me, a remembrance of what I once thought could be. "What if we face this darkness together?" I declared, heart racing towards some new destiny, even as uncertainty crept beneath my skin. The tiny ember of hope began to weave its way through the aches of despair, despite knowing peril still hung overhead. "Together?" Jasper echoed, astonishment crossing his features. For a fleeting moment, his eyes shone with that same innocence I'd cherished, and a piece of my heart melted, sowing seeds of trust in the most inhospitable terrain. But then the shadows shifted as the leader's grin widened, filled with malice. "You misunderstand, Alex. Your togetherness might just be your downfall." Suddenly, the air crackled with tension as dark figures flanked us, their intentions stark and menacing. I felt Liam's grip tighten around my wrist, the blend of fear and determination carving his features into masks of resolve. "Whatever happens, we stick together. No matter what, he whispered, his pledge thundering through me, steeling my heart against the uncertainty, and as they began to close in, leaving no room for escape or negotiation, I realized that we were engulfed in a swirling storm of secrets, all threatening to uproot everything. With our fates intertwined in the throes of past shadows, I stood between two worlds, fighting for the love I once lost and the new beginnings I desperately sought. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of choices yet to come, and gripped Liam's hand even tighter, but as the figures moved in, the familiar chill of dread swept through me, the darkness surged, and suddenly, in the heart of that tumult, a piercing flash of light illuminated the room. Everything froze, even time itself, as shadows loomed larger around us. I could see their intentions muddied but clear. They were not just here for us, they were after something previously hidden, something that was never intended to resurface. And in that moment, as the world dimmed around us and secrets began to unravel with a power I could never foresee, I heard Jasper's voice amid the chaos, tinged with urgency. You have to remember, Alex. The truth will set you free, but it can also destroy everything. A visceral chill shot through my entire being as the crowd stirred and the showdown loomed. The future hung in a delicate balance, teetering on the edge of revelation and destruction, and for the first time, I wondered if we would emerge unscathed or that we might have opened a door meant to stay closed. The lights flickered, casting unsettling patterns across the cafe's tiled floor as tension thickened the air. My heart raced as I clutched Liam's hand tighter, the warmth of his skin a stark contrast to the chill that had settled into my bones. Jasper's frantic eyes pulled at my very essence, the weight of our shared history clawing at the edges of my resolve. There were things left unsaid between us, secrets buried under layers of time and longing that pregnant silence. The leader stepped closer, his amusement igniting my dread. Doesn't it make you curious, Alex? What truths lie hidden? Every whisper, every glance, they build a story yet to be told. His voice rolled over us like a dark tide, dragging us toward inevitability. That I let out a shaky breath, trying to navigate through the sea of fear as I glanced between Jasper and Liam. Their faces, so familiar yet marred by different shades of darkness, fought for a foothold in my heart. Doubt gnawed at me, but I desperately sought the flickering flame of hope that had sparked in our collective terror. Stay focused on what matters, Liam urged, his brows furrowed in determination, though uncertainty lurked beneath the surface. We have to find a way through this. I nodded, but a flicker of defensiveness surged as Jasper stepped toward me, closing the distance with every heartbeat. You don't have to trust him, Alex. He may offer safety, but at what cost? You know me. I'd never steer you wrong. His voice was soft, yet it carried the weight of everything we had lost, but my heart felt heavy with every overlapping memory, the laughter, the tears, the moments when we thought the world was ours and nothing could tear us apart. I watched as the shadows around us lurked closer, and my fear blended with longing. What truth is it that you think I should uncover? I pushed, forcing the words through a throat tight with dread. What could possibly justify the chaos you've brought back into my life, Jasper? The question hung in the air, resonating with the silent promise of old wounds begging to be reopened. The leader smirked again, eager to sow discord. You still think you can trust him? He gestured toward Jasper, eyes glinting. Your innocent boy returned blind and fractured. He carries burdens you can't even begin to comprehend. Stop it. I screamed, the sound erupting from somewhere deep within me, an unexpected surge of anger fueled by the pain. You don't know anything. Jasper is not a pawn. He's more than you'll ever realize. Jasper met my gaze, an encouragement wrapped in confusion and vulnerability. But the moment shattered as one of the looming figures moved closer, raising a gloved hand to silence the chaos. The mere sight of them twisted my gut, my fear washing over me in waves. You're mistaken, Alex, the woman with the icy eyes interjected, her cadence eerily calm and enveloping. It is you who must embrace the truth, and not just your own. The ties between you and Jasper are deep, rooted in lies both frightening and grand. Stop. Liam shouted, his voice a fierce shield, ready to confront whatever darkness threatened to swallow us whole. We need to protect each other. This isn't just about your history, Alex. It's about our future. The tension rose, waves crashing against us as the shadows crept closer, their forms shifting like smoke. And then there was a whisper, soft yet piercing, that cut through the cacophony. You've changed, Alex. You were never meant to forget that. I stiffened, the voice familiar yet cruel, wrapping around my heart like a vice. What do you mean? I stammered, glancing toward the source. My breath froze as a new figure emerged from the depths of the darkness, familiar and jarring. Clara, me sister, long thought lost in the undertow of the past. Clara? The sound of her name slipped past my lips, laced with disbelief and betrayal. A heart-wrenching gaze exchanged between us, the years laden with grief and unanswered questions. You have to trust me, Alex, she urged, each word like a gust of wind pushing against the impending storm. You hold a key to a truth even I don't fully understand. Those shadows crave it. Silence enveloped the cafe, and the surrealness of the moment twisted my insides with fear and sorrow. The leader leaned forward, relishing my shock. Ah, the family reunion, he sneered. Now, the stakes have truly deepened, haven't they? I felt paralysis seize me, the swirling chaos around us merging into a single truth, something far greater than the echoes of childhood or the ties of young love. In the flickering light, I realized I was standing at the edge of a precipice, my past no longer a safe harbor but a tempest waiting to unleash. Remember, Alex, Jasper's voice cut through the tension. You have to remember everything. The truth is waiting, but so are those who would use it against you. And as Clara stepped forward, uncertainty shadowing her every movement, I felt the ground beneath me shift, my heart caught in a whirlwind of options I couldn't fully grasp. The questions spun wildly in my mind. Who could I trust? What danger lay ahead? Secrets lingered around us like ghosts, threatening to unravel what fragile connections still held us together. In that electric moment, caught between loyalties and shadows, I realized there was no turning back. Whatever lay ahead was going to break us apart further or bind us together in an indelible tapestry of truth. And as the darkness surged closer, pinching at the edges of my resolve, I could only wonder if bearing the weight of these revelations would lead to salvation or irrevocable loss. With a surge of adrenaline and desperation, I drew a deep breath but held tight to the growing sense of dread. Uncertainty danced around me as our fates continued to drift dangerously close to the precipice. The air was thick with memories that clawed at the fabric of my heart as Clara's familiar yet foreign presence enveloped me. The cafe's dim light flickered, casting ghostly shadows that seemed to come alive around us. Time hadn't been kind to either of us, our souls carried the burdens of moments unshared and paths taken without one another. I felt as if the very walls were closing in, echoing past whispers that I had tried so hard to forget. Where have you been? The question escaped my lips, a wisp of desperation laced with accusations. I had yearned for answers in a time when she was supposed to be my anchor, not a specter haunting the recesses of my mind. Clara hesitated, her gaze darting away as if the answer were tied to the shadows around us. I wanted to come to you sooner, but it's complicated. Complicated? My voice rose, sharp and brittle, echoing my pain. You left me, Clara. You were supposed to protect me from this. I gestured towards the leader, whose smug expression only deepened my anguish. This mess, this nightmare. Liam squeezed my hand tighter, grounding me even as tension crackled in the air. I could sense his resolve. He wanted to shield me not just from the physical threat looming but from the emotional wreckage that Clara's return threatened to unleash. But I couldn't look away from my sister. The familiar outline of her figure sent ripples of nostalgia and sorrow through my veins. Please, Alex. I need you to listen, Clara pleaded, eyes shimmering with a pleading I had longed to see. What I have to say may change everything. But at what cost? Jasper interjected, his voice strained with concern. These shadows won't just stand back and let us talk it out. They thrive on our doubt, our confusion. We have to be cautious. The leader smirked, relishing our hesitation. Caution? Or fear? It's deliciously tangled, don't you think? In that moment, I found a flicker of defiance building within me. Fear has kept us from the truth for far too long. Whatever you have to say, Clara, I need to know. The room fell silent, my heart pounding loud enough for all to hear. It seemed as if time itself took a breath as I met Clara's gaze, longing for connection yet terrified of the reality that clung to her words. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. It's about the night I left, the night everything changed. Her words hung in the air like a spell pulling at the strings of my past. I was involved in something bigger than you know, something I couldn't drag you into for your own safety. What could possibly be bigger than family? I shot back, but my voice trembled with an emotion I struggled to contain. Clara pressed on, the leader you see before you isn't just a man, he's part of a faction. We were being watched, Alex. There were people who would stop at nothing to control our story, and once they realized I was bound to you bound? Jasper interrupted, his voice sharp. Do you think they care about your bond? They'll exploit it, twist it, even use it against you. Enough. The leader barked, the fierceness in his tone silencing everyone. This is getting tedious. I suggest you give her time to speak before you lose the chance. Urgency is our only ally at this point, Liam urged, his calm defiance igniting something in me. Clara, if there's something that ties us to them, we need to know. Clara looked between us, her emotions twisting as she hesitated. Finally, she took a deep breath, her vulnerability spilling forth like shards of glass. Alex, our mother, she didn't just leave me with you. She left a legacy, a key to the truth buried deep within our family, and those shadows need it. A legacy? My mind raced, digging through fragments of memory, stories of an enchanted object, whispers of power passed down through generations. What are you talking about? The stories were never just tales, Clara said softly, her voice trembling. The truth intertwines with an artifact, hidden in plain sight, a relic that can shift destinies. And they will stop at nothing to retrieve it. The implications of her words slithered into the space between us, dark and foreboding. My pulse quickened as the memories I had tried to bury began to resurface, their weight lingering like a heavy shroud. Before I could fathom the enormity of her revelation, the winds around us shifted, and with it, the shadows stirred. There was an urgency I hadn't sensed before, a dread thickening the atmosphere. We don't have time to waste, I breathed, feeling the walls close in again, the shadows whispering threats that scraped at my sanity. But where do we even begin? Follow me, Clara pleaded, her eyes lighting up in a flickering hope that seemed so fragile. I can show you. But before she could finish, the leader intervened, his laughter sharp and derisive. Oh, how delightful. But let me remind you, dear Alex, he stepped closer, the shadows curling around him like an extension of his will. Trust is a fickle beast. They might lead you to the truth, or they might lead you to your grave. In the breath that followed, a surge of coldness swept through me, an understanding washing over me like ice water. As if the very universe conspired to pull us deeper into chaos, Clara extended her hand, and I found myself standing on the precipice of a discovery that threatened to splinter the foundation of everything I thought I knew. As we moved closer to whatever lay ahead, a gut-wrenching realization seized me. A truth was buried not just in the family lore but perhaps within the very fabric of my very existence. I looked at Jasper and Liam, their eyes filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. Just then, a flash of movement caught my eye, and the leader's smile widened excessively, revealing something sinister lurking beneath. Now, dear Alex, he said, voice dripping with malice, are you ready to confront the darkness waiting for you? And in that moment, with Clara's hand grasped in mine and tensions coiling like a serpent, I knew we stood at the edge of revelation. The next turn could either shatter us completely or draw us together in a way we never thought possible, setting the stage for a clash that would alter the very fabric of our fates. As the shadows danced closer, something primal screamed inside me, the past was not finished with us yet. The moment Clara's hand clasped around mine, I felt as if I were tethered to both hope and despair. Her warmth contrasted starkly with the chill that enveloped the dim cafe. I dared not look at the leader, who loomed like a grim specter just beyond our fleeting resolve. Instead, I turned to the door, the only escape from this prison of memories and threats that loomed larger with every heartbeat. Where do we go? I asked, though a part of me feared the answer. What if the truth was more dangerous than the lies we had clung to? Follow me, Clara urged again, pulling me towards the back exit, the one leading away from the shadows of our confrontation. I looked back at Liam and Jasper, their expressions strung tight with uncertainty, unsure whether to follow or flee. Well, find a way to protect you, Liam murmured, and I could see the determination etched in his furrowed brow. It was an unspoken promise, yet a flicker of doubt danced in his eyes, a reflection of the danger that lurked in every crevice of our reality. Clara led us through a narrow alley that seemed to swallow light, transforming the familiar into an unrecognizable landscape of grief and fear. My heart pounded as memories of long-lost laughter and whispered secrets clashed violently with the weight of our current predicament. The vertigo of uncertain safety spiraled around me like a storm cloud, and I clung even tighter to Clara's hand. "Do you really think they are watching us?" Jasper asked, his voice low, tension thickening the air. I could sense he was trying to remain a voice of reason amid the chaos steering us into unknown territory. "They know something has changed," Clara replied, her face pale but set with resolve. "I can feel it in my bones." We reached a small door that opened into a forgotten room at the back of a dilapidated building. When Clara flicked on a single overhead bulb, the pale yellow light illuminated peeling paint and dusty furniture. It was clear that no one had set foot in this sanctuary for years, perhaps a relic of a time when hopes were simpler and shadows less menacing. "That I thought would be safe here," she said, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her certainty. "We need to figure out what they want from us, from the legacy our mother left behind." "Legacy," I echoed, my voice hoarse with the weight of the word. "Why didn't you tell me before? Why keep it a secret? It was the one thing that might have connected us. Why would you keep something that could save us buried?" Clara turned sharply, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Because I didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid that you would get dragged into a fight I thought I could handle alone. I didn't want you to bear the weight of our family's past. I thought I was saving you. By leaving?" The betrayal pummeled my heart, leaving me on shaky ground. The love I thought might heal our rift was overshadowed by the jagged edges of truth's knife. The room was silent, our breaths mingling with the ghost of what used to be. Then, Clara took a step toward me, her voice barely a whisper. "I've always wanted to protect you. But there are things I discovered, about the relic, that might change everything again." That I was torn between wanting to lean into her, to forgive the years of silence and pain, and the instinct to pull away from the storm that her words wrought, years of isolation now burdened with the looming shadows of fate and legacy. "What's the relic?" I pressed, desperate for clarity that seemed to flee from me like sand slipping through fingers. "A key," Clara whispered, "not just to our past, but to a power that can alter the fabric of reality itself. Our mother was part of something greater. She hid the relic, the truth, to protect it from falling into the wrong hands. Whoever controls it could rewrite our fates completely, and whoever seeks it will not stop." Liam stepped forward, suddenly complicit in the urgency of our situation. "We need to find it before they do. It's the only way we can turn the tide." "But where?" I broke, my exhaustion layering deeper into my fraught spirit. "Rock Creek," Clara said, her voice trembling, eyes wide with the gravity of what she had just revealed. "It's an abandoned site tied to our family. The remnants of our mother's legacy. It's hidden there." The weight of her words sank slowly like stones dropping into a well, echoing truths cloaked in the past. My heart raced, the thrill of impending discovery caught in my throat like a bitter pill. "Then we go now," Jasper decided, steely determination igniting his features, forcing me to refocus on the task ahead. As we moved to the door, the shadows outside twisted like gnashing teeth, hungry for our certainty. Just then, a metallic clank reverberated through the silence, causing my heart to skip a beat. And in that moment, the world caught its breath as the door burst open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness, one that sent icy dread racing through my very core. "Did you think you could hide from the truth, Alex?" The voice was familiar yet altogether wrong, reverberating in that fragile space between past and present. It was him, the leader, stepping into our sanctuary with a wicked, knowing smile. The game has only just begun. Once again, I was suspended on the precipice of despair and revelation, teetering on the edge of a truth that threatened to engulf us all. With Clara beside me, our tenuous bond restored yet battered by fear, I couldn't shake the sense that the shadows were no longer simply chasing us. They were part of us, tied by blood, hidden truths, and a destiny that loomed ever closer. As time stilled in that fractured moment, I felt an ancient power awakening within me, echoing the urgency of choices yet to be made. The leader's dark silhouette filled the doorway, casting a long shadow across the room that seemed to swallow the light. His expression was a twisted semblance of triumph and malice, igniting a fire of primal fear within me. Clara squeezed my hand tighter, her grip now an unbreakable chain forged in the heat of shared dread. "We have to go," she whispered urgently, tugging me back toward the corner of the room. Liam and Jasper instinctively shifted to shield us, their positions resolute guardians formed from the will to protect rather than the specter of compliance. Why fight a battle of wits you cannot win? The leader's voice was a cold caress, each word laced with disdain. You think this place hides you? Your mother's legacy has been a beacon for those who seek it. You're all just pawns in a much larger game. A sudden impulse surged through me, a fierce cocktail of defiance and despair. You don't know us. I shouted, my voice quaking under the weight of the truth. You don't know what we're capable of, his laughter echoed, chilling my veins. Oh, but I do, Alex. You're capable of fear, of hopia potential that exists in a fine harmony with your own demise. What you don't understand is that my interest in you is far deeper than mere legacy. What do you want? I pressed, desperate for clarity, but every word sounded tame against the roaring uncertainty within me. The leader took a measured step forward, the movement amplifying the gravity of his intentions. To offer a choice. A chance for power unlike any you've ever known, or to watch your precious Clara suffer as your mother did. The casual cruelty slipped from his lips like poison, piercing the shallow bravado we had clung to. No. Clara shouted, stepping in front of me resolutely. We won't let you manipulate us like this. Each word dripped with conviction, yet I felt the tremor in her voice, a betrayal of her own uncertainty. You misunderstand, he said, cutting her off. I am not here to negotiate. I'm here to deliver a truth you must confront. His gaze landed oh so accurately on me, as if he had seen straight through my soul, dissecting my fears and hopes to their core. The relic is not merely a key to your past. It's a connection to your very essence. Without it, you can't hope to challenge what the world becomes once its power is unleashed. And believe me, they're coming for it. They will come for you. Jasper took a step forward, his eyes narrow and fierce. We can stop you. You'll never lay a hand on her, but the leader's gaze shifted, a flash of amusement dancing in his eyes as he fixed on Jasper. Ah, the brave knight. But bravery is often a mask for ignorance, isn't it? The truth is rarely a sword in your hands. It's the knife hidden in the shadows. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the heavy air, and the decrepit walls surrounding us seemed to tremble. A shroud of panic enveloped my throat, suffocating my ability to think. Clara's grip remained strong, but I could feel the urgency pushing us toward action. We have to go now. Not yet, he said coolly, watching us like a hawk. There's something else you should know about the relic and your mother. As I said, power calls to power, and the relic isn't just a key. It offers a choice, but there's a cost. What cost? I breathed, realizing suddenly that beneath the dread, a thread of curiosity entwined with the instinct to survive even as dread filled the space with the echoes of his every word. A bond, he replied, the intensity of his gaze refusing to waver. A soul must secede to the darkness before the light can shine in. And that darkness has found you, Alex. You've already been touched by it, more than you can comprehend. Confusion clouded my mind, but there was a flicker of something deeper, a question that danced just out of reach. Clara's hand tightened further, jolting me back. Alex, we're not listening to this. We can't let him manipulate us. In that moment, hope flickered, almost like a candle flame struggling against the looming shadows. We go back to Rock Creek. We face it together, no matter the cost. A sneer crept across the leader's face. You can run, but you'll only prolong the inevitable. His smile was chilling, cryptic, it felt intertwining with the memories of whispered secrets I thought I'd long buried. Alex. Clara's voice broke through my haze. We need to leave. As we turned away, the leader's voice echoed behind us, an ominous promise sewn into the air. Your choices will lead you to that which you cannot escape. And when the time comes, remember, darkness always demands a sacrifice. We fled through the door, hearts pounding in synchrony as fear propelled us into the night. The alley loomed ahead, an abyss that felt both familiar and frighteningly new. The urgency clawed at my chest like a suffocating mist, but I sensed that hope was not completely extinguished. But just as we stepped out into the darkness, a sudden flash of movement caught my eye. A figure emerged from the shadows, face obscured, but I recognized the calm authority that radiated from the tall frame. Stop. The voice was commanding and familiar, sending an icy spike through my spine. Who are you? I gasped, my energy flagging even as hope impulsively surged again against contrary winds. Someone who can help you find the truth, the figure declared, advancing from the shadows, the moonlight revealing more than I could bear. Me, mother's old friend, one I thought lost to us like a whisper in the wind. At that moment, everything shifted. The fabric of our reality swayed perilously, and as my heart raced in tandem with the chaos around us, I understood that our fates were entwined in ways I could not yet fathom. Choices loomed in the air like thunderclouds, heavy with potential and darkness alike, and then, amidst the unfolding storm, I felt a stirring of ancient threads weaving through my own, connecting past to present, each choice a step along a path woven into the very fabric of our legacy, etched forever in the depths of something infinitely more fateful. The shadows clung to me like a shroud as we fled into the night. The haunting words of the leader echoed in my mind, each syllable a reminder of the fragile threads binding my life to this overwhelming chaos. With Clara beside me, I felt both anchored and unmoored, treading the tightrope between the past I remembered and the truth I was only beginning to grasp. We arrived at Rock Creek, an abandoned site now overgrown with weeds and haunted by memories of laughter and innocence. The moonlight bathed the area in an ethereal glow, illuminating the remnants of structures that once stood strong. My heart raced as we entered. It was as if this place was a crucible for everything we had endured, a passage to the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead. As we moved deeper into the ruins, Clara's voice broke through my thoughts. Alex, there's something here. A marker, a sign. If we can find it, we can unlock the power of the relic. The urgency laced every word, a reflection of the unraveling threads pulling us closer to our fates. Do you have any idea what it looks like? I asked, glancing nervously at the shadows that danced between the trees. She nodded, determination glimmering in her eyes. It's described as an etching, something that connects us to our mother's legacy. The words hung heavy in the air, creating a momentary sanctuary amidst the chaos engulfing us. Whatever bond Clara had with this place, I needed to connect to it, to discover the truth buried beneath heaps of fear and unresolved heartache. Suddenly, a flicker of hope ignited within me, a whisper unraveling years of darkness. Could we forge a path leading us out of despair? The shadows no longer felt insurmountable. We'll find it together, I affirmed, determination blooming as I gripped her hand. A thread of connection forged anew. With cautious footsteps, we ventured further into the depths, shadows intertwining around us like a tapestry woven from past sorrows. Just as Clara described, there was a sign, crude yet ancient, etched into a stone that seemed to pulse with the weight of centuries. My heart raced, adrenaline surging as I reached out, feeling warmth radiate from the etching. That's it. Clara exclaimed, rubbing her fingers over the symbols illuminating our surroundings. This is the key. We need to activate it. Just then, the sudden chill in the air sent shivers down my spine. The shadows seemed to thicken, coalescing into tangible shapes that loomed ominously. We're not alone, Liam shouted, rushing into the clearing where we stood, his presence a soothing balm against the encroaching darkness. Jasper followed closely, his eyes wide with urgency. We have to be quick. They're coming. Then let's do it. I urged, the realization washing over me that I had enough faith in our bond to confront whatever lay ahead, as Clara began to chant words that seemed to resonate with the stone. It pulsed beneath our fingertips, the glow warming, awakening something silvery and intangible in the air. But even as hope flickered to life, shadows reared closer, twisting into forms of familiarity, the leader's voice echoing, "You think you can unlock the past? Foolish children, there is a cost. What do you want from us?" I shouted, turning to face the threatening figures. "Sacrifice," the leader hissed, delight illuminating his twisted expression. "To wield the power that resides in the relic, one must be willing to pay the price." My breath caught, the words sent ripples of fear coursing through my veins. Yet within that fear lay an ember of defiance igniting within the depth of my heart. I would not allow despair to extinguish our hopes. We were standing at a crossroads, and I would not let shadows claim anything more from us. No. We define our own fate. I proclaimed, finding strength in the unity of those around me. As Clara's voice grew louder, her words entwining with the pulsating power radiating from the stone, I could feel an energy build, ripping through the dim shadows surrounding us. They snarled like predators denied their prey. Without warning, Clara collapsed, the strength leaving her as the protection of the bond began to fracture under the shadow's weight. "Stay with me," I cried, rushing to her side, but the energy from the relic surged, the air crackling as power coursed through my limbs. What is happening, Alex? Listen." Clara gasped, struggling to catch her breath, her eyes filled with fear and determination. "The relic will show you the truth. But to fully unleash its power you must accept the darkness within you." The realization washed over me, and in that moment, everything shifted. The shadows in the air began to coalesce into one, a fractal of darkness taking shape, swirling around me like mist, pulling tighter with every breath. I could hear their whispers, sweet and seductive, laced with promises of liberation, love, and everything I had lost, but the cost. As it loomed closer, I felt its proximity in every fiber of my being. Was I strong enough to confront it? "We can't let this consume us." Liam stood firm, his voice breaking through the haze, anchoring my spiraling thoughts. Clutching Clara's hand, I drew on every ounce of love and connection we'd forged through this harrowing journey. "No," I murmured, conviction flooding my heart. "You don't define me. The darkness cannot have me." Just as the shadows tightened their grasp, an unexpected revelation unfurled in my mind, a vision of my mother, the warmth of her embrace, the stories she told me as a child, infusing hope into my very core. "I choose light," I declared, my voice rising with newfound strength. "I choose love, and I choose us." The stone pulsed one final time, and the shadows screamed, releasing a torrent of energy, of hope, stitching itself through the darkness and lighting the very core of the relic within. As the brilliance surged around us, consuming every ounce of shadow, I could see the leader falter, his face contorting with fury and disbelief. "No!" he bellowed, as shadows began to dissipate, fluttering away like whispers on the wind. With a final, resounding truth, the shadows dissolved into bright particles of light, illuminating the darkness with an overwhelming warmth. Clara collapsed back into my arms, but I felt the vibrant pulse of the relic and the connection we shared inside me like a flame rekindled. In that ethereal glow, everything I had fought for and lost surged back: love, connection, resolve. The shadows of the past might rise again, but now I wielded the power of forgiveness and unity, and the knowledge that no darkness could extinguish the light we possessed. As I held Clara close, the world washed over me like a tide, bringing the promise of healing alongside the tempest of loss. Surrounded by Liam and Jasper, our hands clasped together, we would stand united against whatever lay ahead. "Family," I whispered, the word heavy with meaning, the bond reverberating deep within us. Together, we stepped into the next dawn, ready to face whatever whispered from the shadows, strengthened by the true legacy we were destined to reclaim. And in that moment of clarity, I understood the past was not an anchor but a compass leading us back to our hearts, igniting our choices with power and purpose. Love, in its most potent form, was the true inheritance we would carry forward, an eternal beacon lighting the paths we choose. As I looked ahead into the vast unknown, I knew in my heart where I belonged. Together, I breathed, and as we stood in that dawning light, I finally grasped the gravity of our journey, the truth flowing like rivers deep inside me. This was only the beginning, a promise of a brighter tomorrow, forever woven with shadows and light, and with that unyielding sense of hope, I took a step forward into the embrace of an uncertain future, realizing at last that sometimes the greatest journeys begin in the darkest places, but the bonds forged in love are unshakable, a light that can never be dimmed. In the end, it is not where we come from that defines us, but where we choose to go together, always fighting for the light, always embracing the love we've found reborn.